Hey, welcome back. Tonight's lesson we're going to talk about making this lathe cutting insert. It's going to be made out of tungsten. This is really not dimensionally to size or anything. I don't want to infringe upon anybody's patents or copyrights or any of their manufacturing processes, so we're just going to kind of roll with what's really out there and available to us. I've got a couple views out here. The isometric kind of shows more of what we're trying to do. Dimensions, we're going to look at this. We're actually going to use a circular pattern to create this feature to here, and we're also going to create a circular pattern from this feature to here, but we don't really have any holes or anything in here that we can create axis. So I'm going to show you how to use an axis and how to create an axis using a couple of planes. This is one of the good lessons on why you want to keep parts pretty symmetric and you want to use the planes that the software actually provides to you. I created another drawing out here for us where we can actually see the sizes on this, so it helps us out quite a bit with having a little bit larger. These are really not to geometric dimensioning and constraints, so I'm not real concerned about it. We don't really have all the 2 times or typical features in here as well. So our basic shape is we're going to start with a rectangle. It looks like it's 1.25 inches long, a 1/2 inch tall, and a 1/4 inch thick. So let's go ahead and get started with our SolidWorks program. We want to create a new part. This part is in inches, so we're going to select OK. We come down here to the bottom right hand side and we are in inch pounds, and we want to make sure that we change our material up here. So this is one of these right click commands, so hover over material, right click, edit material. Tungsten I think is under other metals, so open up other metals, and tungsten is pretty far down the list. So apply that. So now we have our material selected, and we can now create an extruded ball space. I want to start with the front plane. I'm going to go ahead and start with a center point rectangle. I'm going to pull it out, place it. Dimensionally we were 1.25 and a 1/2 inch tall, so 0.5. We're fully defined. I look down here, sketch is completely black. We're ready to roll. Exit our sketch. Remember, it was a 1/4 inch thick, but I don't want to go blind. What I want to do is I want to go mid plane, so we have symmetry on both sides, and this was also 0.25 thick. So we accept that. Simple, basic little rectangle. So now we've got material to work with. Let's use an extruded cut command for our next feature. I'm just going to pick this front face, regular line. I don't want to let it snap to midpoint, so what I want to do is just come somewhere along here. As I'm looking at this, it's 55 degrees down here, 0.125 from the top surface. So come back. So we want to come up and say from here to here. We'll say 55, and then a dimension from this top edge to the end point of our line of 0.125. Fully defined, so we're ready to exit our sketch. We want to cut everything through, so we say through all. It looks like it's removing this yellow portion, so I'm going to go ahead and accept it. Alright, the next thing we want to do is create a cut on this very top surface. So select extruded cut, select this top surface. Just to remember, it's somewhere around here. I don't want to let it snap midpoint, so I'm just going to come over here, something like this. And just 2 lines. I want to take a look at what our dimensions are. We're 118.156 over and 115 degrees. So smart dimension from here to, that was 0.156. Really wasn't exactly what I wanted, so I come down, pick this, and that was 0.118. And now we want from here to here on our angle, and I think it was 115. So we are fully defined. Yep, sketch is completely black, and now we are ready to exit our sketch, and we want to cut through everything. Now notice my arrow is pointing down this direction, so it's going to remove all of this. I can flip it here with the arrow, or I can come over here and flip side to cut with this. So I'm good now, and I want to go through all. So I select through all, rotate it around where you see what's going to cut, and accept it. So now we have got part of our part made. We have this section and we have this section. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create this cut here. So I'm going to do it on the top surface as well. So let's create a sketch. We're going to need some reference geometry. So select sketch, pick this very top surface. I'm going to create a center line. Actually, I want to create a midpoint line. I'm just going to come down here, pull it up, make sure it doesn't snap vertical. I also want to change this to construction geometry because I don't want it interfering with anything later on. I'm going to go ahead and place another line out here, just where I can give me some dimensioning. Smart dimension between here and here. I think I want that to be 15 degrees because it was 75 off of the other plane. And I need to give ourselves a dimension here just to make sure that we're defined and actually can keep some control. So let's make this 0.375. Alright, so now we have a couple of lines that we can use for creation of planes. So I exit this sketch, and this is nothing more than a reference sketch that we have. While we'll edit, I want to edit this sketch one more time. And what I want to do is I want to create something that we can create an auxiliary view on later. So I got a line here, and I want to add a relation. I want this line and our 15 degree line. I want those to be perpendicular from one another, and I also just want to make them equal. So what I'm going to do when I create my auxiliary view and the drawing portion of it, I'm going to use this to my advantage when I'm just showing the sketch later on. So let's go ahead and exit this sketch. So now we're ready to create a plane. So Control 7 for isometric, where we're all kind of on the same page. So I want to use the features command, and I want to create a plane. So a plane, we need 3 points of reference, and sometimes 1 or 2 points are inferred. So what I want to do, first point of reference is the line that we initially created on that angle, and the second point of reference is the end point of that line. So what it's doing is it's inferring that we want it perpendicular to that line. So let's go ahead and accept it, and we're ready to create an extruded cut on that plane. So select extruded cut, and now I'm just going to draw something along the lines of this, a regular line, pull it down, place it. Now what I want to do is I want to pull my mouse pointer out, come back and tickle this until I see that concentric symbol show up, place another endpoint there, and then follow it up with a line. So now we have a closed profile. I want to verify that all of the relations are what I want. So I come up and select add relations. I want to pick this last line and the arc that we drew, and I don't have a tangent relation, so I want to verify that. And I want to accept that it's tangent. Now I want to pick this line and this line. I would like to make those equal as well. And I want to make, let's go find out what our dimensions are. So we have 100 degrees, 62 thousandths radius here, and 100 thousandths on our depth. Okay. So smart dimension, that's 0.062. That's 100 degrees. Now I'm going to select that upper line. I'm going to hold my shift key down and pick that radius so I get the bottom of the radius, and that was 0.1. Now I think I have the dimensions that I need to keep this thing tied up. Maybe. So I want to add a relation. I want to pick this upper horizontal line and our UCS, and I want to make it midpoint. And we are fully defined. So there's our sketch that we have. So now what I want to do is I want to exit my sketch. My cut's going the wrong direction, so I want to flip the direction, and I want it to go through all, and then I want to accept it as well. Alright, now I want to hide this plane, leaving this sketch out here. Let's go ahead and hide that sketch right now for just a moment. Alright, so we're hiding that sketch. Now, we got this, but we've not done anything to this other side. So what I want to do is I want to circular pattern this around this other direction. So let's create an axis. Now, with our axis, I want to use a couple planes. So I want to use my front plane, and I want to use my right plane. So what that does is it creates a central axis where those two planes are perpendicular to one another. So we go ahead and accept that. Now we've got an axis that we can revolve something around, or circular pattern. So I'm going to say circular pattern. The axis is still here. The feature that I want is I want cut number 1 and cut number 2. So it's kind of giving me a preview of what we're going to end up with. So I go ahead and accept it. And now we look a little bit like this, but we got this top piece but we don't have the bottom piece yet. So let's go back to our model. We're going to need another plane so we can circular pattern this around to the other side. So we want to come back up and we want to create another axis. This time we're going to want the top plane, and we're going to want the right plane. So we have an axis here, and we go ahead and accept that. And now we want to create another circular pattern. That axis is selected. That was the last thing that we did. So our last cut extrude was that. Gives us the preview, and now we want to accept that as well. Now as I'm looking at the drawing, it looks as if we have a radius up here on the top. Sometimes it doesn't like to pattern the fillets, but we want to give it a 0.015 fillet. And I want to click here. And sometimes you can come out in your flyout and you can see if it's going to give you the option that you're looking for. And you only have to pick, certain things. It's really not going to give me the option I'm looking for. So I want to pick that one, come down here to the bottom, pick it. Nope, wrong one. Pick this one and this one. That's why it's always best to kind of roll it around and take a look at it. So we want to accept that, and Control 7. Now I want to hide these axes, and I want to show this sketch again. Now I want to save my part. I'm going to call it junk. Doesn't really matter if you're using it as an assignment. You want to make sure you name it correctly there. Alright, so we have this saved, so we want to create a drawing from this. So we want to file, make a drawing from the part. I'm going to hide my title block just for this. So, and now I come back over and I refresh this. Put my front view, my right side view, my top view, and now notice I have this sketch still showing, correct? So I click on that, and I go view layout, and I want an auxiliary view from that. I can then pull it up and place it down, and now I have this upper view, so I'm able to move these things around. So this is where we would dimension to these pieces, because we've got to be looking straight on to actually call out our dimensions properly. So that's how you would go about doing it. Now the problem that I have is I have this sketch showing and I really don't want it to be showing. So I'm going to click on the view box and I'm going to open my part, come back over. I'd like to hide my sketch. I go back to my drawing, and I come up to this view box and I can right click in the view box and I can reset the sketch visibility. So it's using that as a reference, and it's still there even though it's not showing, but I don't have a center line to call out some dimensions. So I want to come up in the annotations tab up here. I want to select a center line. I want to pick here, and now I have a center line where I can go ahead and create the rest of my drawings and fill out my title block completely. Don't take heed to this because it's really just for our reference so we can actually build the part. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.